Good seeing you. Take care. I'm gonna have to come up and visit you over there. Thanks. Hey, what? Oh, I can't talk about that. But I could ask you, the donation box we have for the pets, can we rotate that?
Like location?
Like, and then put these guys up at so much.
Probably.
All right, let's call the committee of the whole meeting back to order here. And we left off on E6, brush collection and bonfire. So these last two are both things that I had wanted to try to get done here for quite a while. So I had a lot of residents when I was out campaigning that wanted to bring brush to the compost area. And I know that in the past we used to, and it was really a hassle. Matt's not here, of course, but I know that he said it was a really big pain because you get all that brush in there and you gotta, ship it out and that kind of thing. And I wish Josie was here too.
We had to pay to get rid of it.
Yeah, right, yep, yeah,
And
there
then
was,
they were also throwing furniture in there.
sure. Well, now we have it staffed, so they probably would get away with no furniture, I would imagine, but you still have to get rid of the wood, right? So that was kind of the idea that I was thinking about is, well, why not just burn the wood, I mean, and I don't know, if we're gonna get too much to burn or not, and Josie, of course, she talked to Al, and she's not here, so I don't know, I don't remember, what she,
So her and I did go over all these agenda items beforehand, because we
Okay.
weren't gonna know where she was gonna be leaving off. And one thing she did give me an email from Al that she received. And basically, her question was, could we do this? And he says, yeah, but he says that, you would need to keep the bonfire or bonfires, depending on the amount of brush that you have, to 10-foot diameter, and preferably not more than 10 feet high as well. He says that if it's done in the winter, you need a 2-inch minimum snow cover. And let's see, in the summer, it could be done between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. And he says kind of the biggest thing from his mind and from what he's thinking about is it cannot be left alone. It cannot be left to smolder, especially in the city. And he says, if anyone complains about the smoke being a nuisance, we have to find a happy medium, which is usually putting it out. Only real safety concern would be is if it is done in the spring or the fall. He says DNR would be fine with it if the city and Fire Chief Jankovich are on board with it. That would be fine. He says also, it can't be unattended and it's got to be just the vegetative material, right? So we're not throwing furniture and whatnot in there. But yeah, those were kind of his broad comments and the high level concerns that he had about it.
When City of Cambridge used to burn their brush piles, we got a lot of complaints because the smoke would go into businesses. I mean, that smell just went across where this particular one was. It got drawn into businesses every time a door would open, a customer come in and just like a vacuum, pull that smell, and the smoke right into the businesses, so.
I should bring up one other item I missed. There's a one sentence separate paragraph here. He says about Evercat, because of course there's the proximity there. He says Evercat's material isn't exposed, at least to flying embers, so he wouldn't be overly concerned about it, but that want to run it by him, but he doesn't foresee that being a problem. He says the plant manager is a firefighter, and so having that conversation wouldn't be particularly difficult, is what I took that to mean. So, just
I don't disagree with you on that, but I think when we've had storms come through, I think Matt has said that they would accept brush because of storms. It's unforeseeable. I don't disagree. I mean, it's like, when we've had a live Christmas tree, how the heck do I get rid of it, I had to bring it to a buddy's house to get rid of the damn thing, to burn it or something. But I don't foresee us maybe setting other than, set up a standard of saying, storm damages, need to bring trees in. I mean, we got to have a significant storm. I mean, straight line winds, whatever. I mean, that happens. There ain't nothing anybody can do about it. I think, most other times, people are going to have brush down in the spring and in the fall. They're not going to have it any other time, really, unless there's a storm.
Yeah, or they're tree trimming.
Or they're tree trimming. If you're tree trimming, then you should probably figure out what you should do with it before you trim the tree.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically. I could see us maybe having a couple times a year when they can bring it there. And that way, we can limit the size of the piles, too.
Dan, you said Cambridge has, they do take brush in Cambridge, and I know that Bram has an area for brush, but it's kind of outside of town. and
Yeah, they don't take brush.
Not anymore, they don't?
No, I'm just, the stuff that the city, when they go
Oh,
trim trees and
gotcha.
stuff like that, no, but
Okay.
now they chip everything,
Gotcha.
so.
Is there any examples of other cities around that deals with their brush?
I don't know, I mean, and I wasn't just looking for, just a bond, just to burn it, I was thinking of it more of a event where we have a community bonfire sort of, and we do it as sort of a, so kind of tying that into the whole thing, is if we're gonna burn it anyway, why not, have folks come out and, have a beer truck there and food trucks and, maybe a band and, do something similar to a street dance, but get rid of the brush pile by doing that, so that was just a thought, but I mean, I was picturing that in the fall, and that was, one thing that he said he was concerned about was doing it in the fall too, so.
So when I worked in Granite Falls, we had a out of city, actually literally out of city limits, brush site, and it was ungated, right? It was on your honor, right?
That's kind of what Bram has got, I think,
Yeah,
similar to that
and,
too.
and Bram maybe has the same experiences. In Granite, it was, 99% of the time it worked out great. But every now and then, you would have tree trimmers that would come in and dump literally entire trees. And that gets to be problematic when, a trunk this big. So if we're gonna collect brush, my advice from experience in Granite Falls would be, make sure you've got a way to limit that, or expect that will happen and know how you're gonna deal with it ahead of time. It'd be the.
I know previously at the old, when we had it open for brush, I think the limit was it your thumb? Was the limit, there was a limit on what brush you could
It
bring?
was, that was before we fenced it in, and it was never guarded.
Yeah.
And it was filled with couches
Right, no,
and
I remember,
dressers,
yep.
And there was nothing that said that it had, so it was always been, you can't leave your furniture and crap in there.
Yep.
So I don't care if you said it had to be the size of your thumb or whatever, it didn't make any difference. They're gonna bring whatever they're gonna bring there anyway.
But now it's manned.
Now
So
it's
we
manned,
could
but-
say, smaller than a wrist or 2 inches across, or then, because we already have a person there, so we could regulate what we get. And if there's gonna be a problem where there's a contractor that's just dumping all of their tree trimmings and we just overwhelmed, we'll have to
Yeah, I would
address
say
it then.
for contractors, it should,
They have their own.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
think we need to accept
because
that
that's
version.
their responsibility to
Right.
figure out what they're gonna do before they go out and do their job.
I agree, I'm just saying, if we have a problem, we have someone there all the time, so.
But if you're gonna, burn it and have a communal bonfire, you don't wanna be burning like this,
Yeah,
because then you're gonna be paying someone a long time to
Yeah, you
sit
don't
there
wanna have it
all night
And then-
long
and
through
then
the
now if
morning,
you're- if you're
because
gonna
it's
burn it,
not
who's
gonna,
gonna sit there
it's
all
gonna
night?
be smoldering,
And
and
who's
it's
gonna
gonna
pay
be
for that?
burning.
I know one thing that speaking to Mr. Sylvester, he said that staffing it was really difficult the last time they would burn it, and it would take days to burn because they'd have to put it out and then
Restart
reignite it and then put it out just because.
That was one big fire though,
You'd have
wasn't
to
it?
have someone there really controlling how much you're adding and
I think that was
how big
one,
the pile would be, and, but I like the idea, but you don't want it.
We'd have to
Some-
limit it to when the pile, this is it, he's got a fenced in area, it's 10 foot by 10 foot, and then once it gets to 9 feet, okay, we're done, we're gonna get it burnt, we're gonna burn it and be done with it. So at that, between the time it gets burnt down to where they can come back again, somebody's gonna get mad, well, it was open yesterday, but not now, now you're gonna start
Right,
kicking
yeah.
another can.
But I mean, obviously, you're gonna have maybe one fire a year, it's not gonna get rid of all the brush.
Yeah, probably not.
So you're still gonna have to figure out what to do
Yeah, I was just looking
with
for.
the rest of the brush.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking for a creative solution to not have to pay to get rid of it, but I mean, that does sound like it would be more of a hassle than we maybe want to deal with, but I mean.
it is a service and an
it's a
event
s-
in
it is a-
one.
Yeah, right, I mean, that's what I
So-
was looking for, was
Being practical on it, a regular city lot doesn't have a lot of brush, or actually, they're not even allowed to have brush on their property. I think
Could you
it's
please
on
turn
the
your
ordinance
mic on?
brush.
Microphone, it is on.
Can
I don't-
can you
Oh.
speak in your mic? Sorry.
Actually, I think there's an ordinance where you can't have brush on a city lot.
Really?
So if they're losing any trees to storms or anything like that, they're gonna probably cut it up and use it in a regular fire pit or give it to their neighbor. I don't see a real need for it, and anybody who does have a large amount of brush like me, like 6
need.
acres, I got brush everywhere. I'm burning 4 or 5 times a year. I'm always beating back the brush.
Yeah, but you get over in
So-
your neighborhood though, George, there's a lot of those even older parts like Main Street.
Right.
There's a lot of mature, overly matured trees. You get into my neighborhood or Dan's, there isn't.
Right, but alls they have to do is put a post out or tell their neighbors, and that wood will be gone like that, if it's any size. I mean, everybody has, not everybody, but there's a lot of people that have wood burning stoves, fireplaces. So the actual brush itself, I don't see where there's a huge need for the city residents to have to get rid of it.
I mean, everybody, and I don't really know personally, because I don't remember, I guess, the time looking at the brush pile or looking
I
at.
do.
But I mean, you
I
do,
used-
and
I
and
used
Steve
it.
does,
Tree
and there
trimming.
was apparently a lot of it would come in, I mean, like
Yeah.
lots and
There
lots.
was, there actually is more people that wanna know why they can't get rid of the brush.
Yep.
I've heard that a lot, and that was the explanation, is the city, it costs us a lot of money to get rid of it. I think we actually had, this guy down here on Viking came and got it? He chipped
Yeah.
some of it,
Oh,
but he couldn't do it all.
Central?
Yeah, he did some of it, but he couldn't do it all because there was so much debris in there.
You know, and I don't know, that'd actually be nice if Matt was here, but something else to look into, maybe we could, they could relay a message to Matt, and then we could have this come back to Cal when we have more info.
I agree.
Wood chipper, the city could, you know,
Use it?
chip the minimal stuff that's, you know, if we want nothing bigger than your wrist to come in, they can chip it, and then the residents can come in and take the chips when they get mulch.
So basically, we'll,
It's not dyed or fancy stuff, but it's wood chips that,
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking for a creative way to make it not expensive,
And
but
that's
be able
not
to
a bad
offer the
idea.
service,
yeah, I
And you could
mean,
do the fire too, then this, whatever's left over is
Yeah,
chipped.
right.
chip, and then the residents could come in and get that, like they come in and get compost. It's
Yeah.
an idea, I'd like to know what Matt would think of something like that, but.
It's a good idea.
I think you're looking at a liability, having a bonfire party. Thing.
You know,
I think
Al
Cambridge,
mentioned something
Cambridge's
about,
been doing
like-
that for years.
Have they?
For, yeah, the homecoming. Well, I don't know,
Yeah, we have fires at the.
They have a bonfire
Illuminate Isani, we
for
have those little
homecoming and
That's a little
seniors
fire
and
pit,
stuff.
that's not a bonfire.
No, but
The Cambridge High School, anyway. Those-
they do something up there for homecoming?
If you're worried about
think it's
safety on a
homecoming.
big bonfire, if we're gonna get the temporary fence that we're gonna use at Illuminated Sandy, you could cordon off where the actual fire is to keep people away.
Sure.
And just have the personnel that are gonna be adding stuff to the fire, and you could still do something probably.
I'm gonna say this, is having lived out in Grand Falls, out in rural country, we had friends that, near Sacred Heart, that they would collect all the brush from everybody, right? And they would have once a year a big fire, and it was big. And I remember when this first got brought up, I don't remember who, somebody said, well, God, what if somebody falls into the fire? I can tell you what, when that fire gets to a certain size, there's no chance you're getting anywhere near close enough to fall into the fire.
No,
Ain't gonna happen.
no.
I
The
mean,
heat will keep you away.
Does the city of Isani have a wood chipper?
I don't think that we do. I can't,
don't-
if we did, it should be on the capital improvement plan. I don't think it is, so.
Well, I think, maybe when you address this to Matt, have him
Yeah.
look to see what one would cost to rent.
They're not cheap.
So should we just come back with staff as a plan for how to have a bonfire, even if it is just a limited 10 by 10? And then what would we do if we had excess brush? Here, option 1, 2, 3, something.
I think so.
I
like
think it'd be
that.
kinda cool to have multiple 10x10s. Did he say, he
There's-
just said 10?
Definitely like 3 or
Yeah.
4.
Yeah,
Josie and I's understanding from Al is that it was okay to have multiple 10 by 10s, but no individual fire and not so close that they would have a chance of becoming one. which
Well, the time of the year.
shouldn't be
'cause, I
too
mean, the
hard.
Fall,
That-
like October was kind of the time where I was thinking that's where you really would wanna do something like that, where it's kinda cold enough outside, but yeah. I mean, that's another thing to think about too, is there a time of year where we don't have something else going on already that we can squeeze that in, cause we
That-
already have street dances
That
and,
actually is the time of year when we've been looking to fill a gap for an event, so.
well,
Like the beginning of November.
Yep, the beginning of November was exactly when we were looking, so.
so I mean,
It's gotta be done before deer hunting, or you're gonna get a lot of activity in it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And as
first-
far as the smoke
that'd be
goes, I mean,
end of
that's something,
October, Halloween, you could turn it into a Halloween thing.
I was thinking that too, end of
Yeah.
October, Halloween
That'd be kinda
type.
cool.
yeah, like a fall festival sort
Yeah.
of thing, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's a good
But
idea.
as far as the smoke goes, I mean, I don't know, I mean, there's not a lot of
Depends
houses
on the
like
wi-
over there, but yeah, it
where-
depends on the wind.
Wind
and-
direction
yeah, I
that
mean,
day.
But a few 10 by 10 fires, that's not a lot.
Yeah, and
Not
it's a ways from the houses over
Yeah.
there, so. Yeah, I just thought it'd be fun, and I thought it'd be, if we could find a way to do it and not have a bunch of money that we have to spend on it, I just really wanted to do it, cause that was one thing the residents absolutely do want, is to be able to bring the brush over there.
I really like that. I get sick of burning brush at my house. I mean, I have a wooded lot and all the time I'm burning brush. So I used to use it a lot when we had it. And I did see couches and stuff there. It's like, man, shoot, that sucks, you know?
I think this time around, because it is manned, we won't have the debris in the brush.
Correct,
And I think
correct.
Northland would take all of it. If, we should have Matt look into talking to Northland again, if it's debris-free, straight brush, trees, branches, if they would take it on notice or once a month or something, and then we could save the last month to have that fall festival or something like that.
And I don't know who was taking it before and how much it, I don't know the dollars amounts on it, one time I think I did, but I don't remember what it was on.
In my
Oh, we were paying for it?
In my experience at Primary Plumbing, I think Councilmember Heeman's exactly on, is like your ability to guarantee that this isn't riddled with nails and 2x4s makes all the difference in the world on how much somebody's willing to take.
Right.
Makes all the difference in the world, and if it's gated and manned, we can make that guarantee, so
Exactly.
that should help a
And
lot.
if you don't want the big stuff, that'll just be more costly to get rid of.
Sure.
Yep.
Or time consuming if you wanna burn.
So we can come up with a plan, bring something back, and see what the numbers look like.
All right, that sounds good to me.
I think it's a great idea.
Awesome. That's not where I thought that conversation was gonna go, actually.
Me neither.
Well, thanks, guys. So E7 Music Downtown, this is one that I just, when I was living out in Stanley, North Dakota, you know, the small town feel of having music on Main Street, kind of where you were, you know, going to the post office, or you were going, you know, just shopping around, and it just felt like you were part of the community, because you were, I don't know, there was just something about it that felt good. And of course, they were playing country music out there, so maybe that's why, but I think we could mix it up if we were to do it here, and you guys said Anoka used to do it, is that right? Anoka used to do music on Main Street and stuff like that, like with speakers and, you guys, I thought
Well,
that,
that's, they just had like they just had music just playing
yeah, right,
through speakers.
yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I
like
mean,
I heard radio playing on there.
Yeah, right.
Something like that, for
right,
example.
and that's what I'm talking about. I just thought it was, you know, that if we're going for a small town feel with, you know, kind of the big city attractions that we have, I think to keep it feeling like a small town, I thought that was maybe one thing that would be an easy thing that would be kind of fun, so.
So Jordan did do some research and also with Myron, so you can,
Yeah, so there, I found a place online that specifically what they do is outfit cities, with, sound systems in either parks or downtown areas or whatever. And so, kind of their price was $2,000 per speaker, and then plus shipping, and they recommend a speaker every 120 feet. And so I talked to him on the phone, he pulled up Google Earth and was looking at Main Street, and we can see where the light poles were, and you can kind of do a rough measurement online. So we figured it'd be 6 speakers would cover on Main Street from kind of where we block off for the street dance, that stretch from the railroad tracks to Second, I think, yeah. So there, and we'd alternate and do one, you'd go alternate every other side of the road. So there'd be, 3 on each side of the road, just alternating, zigzagging. So we would need also a laptop dedicated to running the music. So that would be, we would just purchase that on our own. We would have to get a music license to play. We already have one for events and stuff for playing music, so we are already covered on that. But to be able to, he had a platform that most people use, it's $17 a month, and he said we can look in what license we have, it might be cheaper to just stop what service we have now and then go to this one. And then we can pick playlists and build what kind of music we want to play. Whereas the other one, it's just kind of umbrella, like you can play the music in the park and not, we don't have a set playlist or whatever. It's just, so it's more of like a streaming platform where it's got stuff built in, and you can pick and choose. So other things that we would need is a transmitter. So ideally it would be downtown, but since we, City Hall is, like, set back a little bit, we would probably need a repeater to send the signal from City Hall to one of the light poles downtown where we've got a clear shot and where it's not obstructed by a building. So those are $200 a piece. And like I said, his recommendation was minimum of 6 speakers. You could do more, and then you wouldn't have to have the volume up as much to cover the area, but in the distance we have, he recommended at least 6. So you're looking, between 15 and 20,000 at his recommendation of what we would need to do it.
Can you tie into that with a microphone? Or is that to-
Yeah, I would,
If there's a transmitter,
So
I
if
can't
there's
see why
street
you wouldn't be
dance,
able
you
to.
wanna
Yep,
get on the microphone?
that would work.
Can-
typically at the street dance, we just would hop on the stage with the band, but the other thing I would say, when I was at the car show this last summer, helping get the food vendors set up, they were playing some music downtown, and we did have some residents that live downtown that they do overnight shifts, and so when they were playing music at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, that they were not thrilled to have music playing. So that's my only thing. The other to consider is the people that live immediately downtown that would hear the music all the time.
When I know when you walked through Anoka back then, it was really soft. So if you were in the cafe right on the other side of the window, you wouldn't hear it.
Right.
It's just really soft background elevator music. That's all it was.
So
I don't
is,
think you want to do it loud or by any means, for
No.
sure. You wouldn't want to be able to hear it in the apartment above
No.
somewhere. yeah.
Or,
But that's why you need enough speakers.
or in the
Right,
flower
so
shop
that's
or
what you said, the more speakers you have, the less volume you have to cover the area. But
so I know with Illuminate Isani, we approved you buying new speakers for that. Could those be multi-purposed for this? So you don't have to buy the speakers? I mean, those are outdoor speakers, correct? And you already have most of
Yeah.
that hardware?
you would have to figure out the mounting hardware
Sure.
to figure out how to secure
'Cause
them up there. And then figuring out the transmitter and that stuff, that would be separate than what we would have. So there'd be a little bit extra cost, but I mean, it's a potential that we could use that too, I guess.
Because they're not
Does-
being used during the summer months, are they?
But
We would
this-
use them at events at the amphitheater and other, some of the family stuff we have at the amphitheater. We'd be able to get better pricing on the entertainment that we book, being able to provide the sound system. They wouldn't have to bring their own or rent it to bring it. So it will help us save money in other areas, having that equipment that we're gonna purchase for Illuminate Isani.
the speakers for Illuminate Isani are not wireless,
Correct.
so
Yeah, I guess that would be the
that would be something we'd have to consider if that were.
good call.
I like the thought of it, but I don't see the reality or the realistic notion behind it, because really, we only have one retail down there, maybe 2, you could say. It's just not a bustling little main street. I could see it working good on, like, Cambridge Main Street. I wish we had, like, a restaurant with an outdoor, tables and chairs and some more retail in there, and to make it, look at it and make it more feasible or realistic, but I don't think right now
For many years, it's been Rejuvenate Main Street.
I know.
And that ain't gonna
we just
happen.
can't
We've-
get
it's
it
not gonna happen.
back. I
we've tried
agree.
it several times over the last 10 years that I've been here.
I know.
And there was somebody, I'm not mentioning names, and it's been a while, but that was that person's mission to rejuvenate Main Street, and no matter what cost, it was to rejuvenate. And it's like, unfortunately, Main Street's moved over here.
I know. Well, we have to be realistic about that. It's no
I
longer
would
there.
love to do it. I would love to do it. I'd love to, I'd
too.
love a restaurant to go into the Creamery again, to have a regular cafe. I'd love that to happen. I wished I knew how to make it happen. I don't know how. It's, the small mom and pop restaurants are drying up because they just can't get help, and they can't work 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. So unfortunately, Main Street is gonna be what it's always gonna be, as it is right now.
And what I love best about Main Street and what brings it alive is the street dances. And that's why I personally am against having them over there in the park, because it's the only chance we really have to revive Main Street, 3-4 times a year. And that's about all I got to say on that whole subject.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't looking to spend that kind of money. I mean, I was picturing, I could get wireless speakers for a couple $100 a piece and.
Right.
Well,
You know,
the
I mean-
ones that people use with their cell phones, they're not outdoor speakers, but, I mean, those are like 70 or 80 bucks a
Yeah, the
piece for a
JBL ones,
JBL, and
yeah.
they sound really nice. So,
They do.
And they're waterproof.
you can't, that $2,000 a speaker, there's gotta be
Yeah, that,
cheaper.
to me, that sounded pretty
If
special.
you can get a JBL that rocks it at a house party, and it's like the size of this.
I bet you,
Yes,
I bet you
I
there's a
have
way to
one.
There's
link
gotta
them.
be
It's awesome.
something out there cheaper
it's
than
waterproof.
$2,000 a speaker.
It's kind of like with the
And it's
AV.
Bluetooth, so.
So when I was doing the research for Illuminate Isani, the speakers that we were looking at there, we were looking for wireless stuff, and it is more expensive, especially like sending the distance and everything. And when I was doing research on the wired speakers, and the ones that we're gonna purchase are significantly cheaper than the JBL stuff, because I did look at that, and that stuff was 2 to 3 times the price of the speaker that I'm planning on getting. So, I mean,
One thing you also gotta realize when you bring up Bluetooth in it, anybody that's got a Bluetooth connection in their phone could possibly get into that speaker. So then you're gonna create another problem. That's why, you spend that kind of money, that's limiting access to get to that. Some young kid that's electronic savvy, he get in and hack into that thing, and he starts playing something in there, next thing you know, the city's getting sued because something's being offensive over them speakers. And unfortunately, that's why you gotta spend the money to do it.
Did you say the wired speakers were cheaper though?
correct.
So, I mean, we could potentially do something, if we had something we were playing with in City Hall here or something like that, could you wire stuff out that
It's
far?
the concern would be
Yeah, that would be pretty
how you would
Yeah,
route the wires underground, and like, that would be pretty,
well, I mean,
Pretty
from
spendy.
one, cause I mean, I don't know, light posts probably aren't connected, I guess, you're not gonna be able to get to,
Underground they are.
yeah, right, yeah, but
Then
can
the
you
utility
fish,
company can only
fish
dig
speaker
through
wire?
Those are city. The light poles on Main Street, those are city-owned.
But you can't run
Pretty,
low voltage.
pretty
and high
positive
voltage.
that they're city-owned.
Yeah, but you
They
can't run
don't-
high voltage and low voltage in the same conduit.
Okay,
No, because you'll get nothing but interference on all that.
okay.
It would be kind of interesting if there was a way to do it with the just the little small JBL speakers that people have. I mean, you could mount it to a pole easily. The only thing that would be tough with that is charging. But there would be, I guarantee there's a way
Solar?
that. That'd be
I don't know.
interesting. Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm sure there's a
just-
way.
I
That'd be
can't believe there's
interesting.
not
Well, I think
something
the
cheaper.
the light posts themselves have power at the posts, is what right?
But then you gotta have a waterproof charging port. So what makes those waterproof is they have a rubber seal on the charging pole, so that if it goes in water, it doesn't get water inside of it. So to charge it, you take the rubber seal off, so it's.
If you would like, staff can do more research to find other options.
Yeah.
I think we like the idea, the cost is,
Much
yeah,
cheaper.
yeah.
Those little $100 JBL speakers, those Bluetooth speakers, if we could I bet you can link a bunch of them together as well. Like you could probably link six of them together, and those things are pretty, and they're only, $150 tops.
Then how did those speakers charge? The $2,000 ones, solar?
look
They
in the
were plugged
packaging.
in, I believe, at the,
Okay, they're plugged in.
yeah.
Yeah, so there is outlets on top of each of those light poles, because some of the street dance vendors plug in their 110 stuff.
Christmas decorations and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I was just curious if,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like an urgent thing, but I mean, when you have some time, maybe we could try to look at
Yeah.
some way to maybe do it a little cheaper, I guess, or get creative on it, or.
Yeah, this one's been on the cow for, seems like probably 2-3 months.
Yeah, right.
So I did the initial research, and we just haven't had the conversation yet, so, yeah.
I think the JBL speakers are a good thing to look into. Do you know what he's talking about? They're like the little round.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
portable speaker, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be interesting. Good idea, Dan.
I just said there's probably something else out there
Yeah.
that's more geared towards what we're looking for. Like that, I would think that's a lot cheaper, I would, geez, you would think. I
Yeah,
mean,
like a make it work type thing, yeah.
yeah.
We've got more than one retail place on Main Street. Well, we got the meat market, we've got the post office, we got the bike shop,
shop.
we got, there's the kids.
I think the bike shop's
The
open by appointment only
Oh, is
now.
that, is?
It's
That's
just
what
open.
I've heard,
Okay.
yeah,
They want you to make an appointment.
cause the, yeah, the doors are locked.
Flower shop, there's a few things.
Yeah, JoJo's.
I don't, yeah, the photographer's place, I don't know if they'd take pictures in there, but.
There's supposed to be another, when is the boutique gonna be built
Oh, yeah, right,
on the corner?
but Amy's gonna,
Oh, she just reached out to me today, so they're working on their plans.
Cause I just asked Stephanie about that
Yeah.
between meetings, cause I'm like, there's a truck or trailer sitting there and a skid loader was out there, I'm like, hey, what the hell happened to her? She ain't working on this thing, what's going on? And then I asked
they
Stephanie, and
are.
she just reached out,
Yep,
so, just like that, Semler, both reached out to her, so.
well, yeah, that was it for the agenda items there, so.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn from Councilman Lundin, a second from Councilman Collison. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
I think it's busy over there personally. I think it's busy over here.